Hey everybody out there, YouTube land. It's Brank here again with some BDO, Black Desert Online. And actually, this is not necessarily a guide, but maybe more informative for some people out there that haven't actually picked this game up or that are looking to give it a try. What I kind of want to go over here is maybe some reasons why you would want to play Black Desert Online and maybe some reasons why you wouldn't want to play Black Desert Online. That way you can get an idea of if it's a game for you. Because I know a lot of times when I'm looking at picking up a new game, I'll browse through a lot of YouTube videos and see if there's anything, informationally on that game and see if it's going to be kind of a right fit for me, especially with MMOs, because I know, most of us out there, when we play a lot of these MMOs, we want to play them for at least, a good period of time, maybe not years, but at least, a few months to get into the game, to get into the lore of the game. So that's where I'm going to start. Okay, so basically the lore of the game is good. There is still some issues. I would give this a pro and a con on this. Basically the lore is interesting. The problem I've seen with the lore is a lot of the localization that they've done for English, at least, is not the greatest. But it still is a good overall lore system in the game. I mean, there is some interesting things that you'll find out, and as you're leveling up characters and stuff like that. It's not really repeatable. I mean, obviously, most lore stuff in games is a one-time, it's like an RPG. It's a one-time, you go through, you understand the story, and you're really not affecting it much necessarily, but it is interesting the first time through. So that's lore. The second thing that I think is a pro for this game is there is a lot of stuff to do. Some MMOs that I've played in the past have kept you to basically one or two things, right? You're either questing all the time or maybe even crafting all the time, but you're only really doing, one thing. There might not be a lot in that game to do. And crafting in a lot of games is just a means to an end, or it doesn't really get you anywhere, and it doesn't feel like you're really accomplishing much by doing it. Not in this case. There's a lot of stuff to do in this game. There's crafting. There's obviously combat. There's node management, worker management, daily quests. Kind of the standard fare as far as the questing goes, from what I've seen. So the questing system is good. I mean, personally, I'm kind of burnt out on quests in most MMOs because most of the ones that I've played, that's pretty much all it is quest here, go to the next town, quest there, go to the next town, quest there, go to the next town. To me, I'd rather see something a little bit more, combat focused, which actually this game does do a lot better. Really, most of your XP is going to be coming from combat. Most of your XP in this game is not coming from quests. It's coming from just pure combat, which is a good and a bad thing, right? Some people like just farming, just grinding. Me personally, I love just grinding mobs for XP. I don't like having to pick up 20 quests, go out, collect ears and hooves and whatever, come back to town and drop those off. Yes, we've played those games before in the past. It gets a little bit repetitive and boring. Grinding mobs can also be repetitive and boring, but in this game, I feel like they've struck a pretty good balance. You don't always feel like you have to be out there grinding mobs and XPing to really accomplish anything. Which brings me to my other point, is crafting in this game is actually, I think, pretty fun. Most games, I would say, I don't have a lot of fun, or at least I don't spend a lot of time crafting. In Black Desert Online, as you probably could tell from my videos, if you watched any of the other ones, I've spent a lot of time crafting, a lot of time cooking, to be specific. And to me, this is one of those things that helps out the game's longevity, because it's something that you can do that isn't necessarily, combat or anything else that's part of the system currently. So it's something that you can do to have fun kind of in the meantime, while you're maybe waiting for your friends to log in, you're waiting for your guild mates to log in to maybe do a guild quest, which is another positive that I have about this game that I think is really good, is the guild system. I think is a pretty good system. The chat is, fairly simple, but the guild system is set up in such a way that it increases the reasons that you'd want to help your guild out. Your guilds pay you, which means you get money for just helping your guild out. And your guild, in turn, by completing those quests, can then also put points in your guild to things like processing and fishing that'll help you process and fish, and even increasing your attack points. So by helping your guild out, you're getting paid. By helping your guild out, your guild is getting more powerful, so you're getting more powerful. So it's a total win-win situation. Absolutely would join a guild if you're in the game and you haven't yet. Find a guild. There's plenty of them out there. I know there's some that have higher requirements than others, but at least join a guild or get one started with a few of your friends. The combat system. I like the combat system. I wouldn't say I love the combat system, but I do enjoy the combat system. I think that it is a fresh take on a lot of the MMOs out there, and I do like the tab targeted system. I never thought that was really a good system. To me, it was always a very simplistic system, coming from more of a FPS background where there is no tab targeting. You're shooting at what you're aiming at. So I do like the fact that I'm actually shooting or attacking at what I'm aiming at, rather than just tab to target the next guy. So the combat system is interesting. The combos are a little bit hard to get used to if you haven't played any type of combo system game. But once you kind of get a few of them down, and my suggestion for working on the combos would be to start small and kind of get the first couple combos down and then build off of that, and you'll get it over time. But those are my pros for the game, pretty much. The cons that I have for the game is a shorter list, but it starts with, it is repetitive. Any of it, the cooking, any of the crafting, the combat system, pretty much all of the pros are also a little bit of the con, right? Because it's repetitive. Unfortunately, it's kind of the nature of the beast. MMOs in general are going to be repetitive. They have to be, because they can't create, unlimited amounts of content that is, always going to be fresh and new. So by it being a little bit repetitive, is a con, but the other positive that we talked about before, I think, kind of outweighs it, which is there's a lot to do. So if you don't focus on just doing one thing, just leveling or just cooking or just, whatever it is in the game, you're going to find it's a little bit more enjoyable if you maybe play alternate characters, or if you maybe do multiple types of crafts. Like instead of just cooking, you could do cooking and furniture crafting or fishing or whatever. There's so much to do in the game. The repetitiveness is kind of up to you, or at least the ball's in your court. You can make it a little bit more fun by changing things up, doing some different stuff in the game. So that is a con, but I think it's easily overcome. The other con that I have that kind of is the same is it's fairly grindy. The XP, once you get past 50, and I know I've only got one character past 50, but even just grinding up to 50, it is a little bit grindy. It's a little bit slow at a certain point. And I think you'll find that in pretty much any MMO. Once you get to a certain level, kind of that scale goes up, and it takes a lot longer to get from 20 to 30 or 30 to 40, whatever it is, wherever that scale starts sliding up, it does get a little bit grindy. Like I said, if you used the fact that there's a lot to do in this game, that's going to mitigate the fact that it does get grindy and it does get repetitive. So the cons that I have for the game are a lot shorter, but I think that by keeping those things to do kind of in the back of your mind, like I'm getting kind of bored with questing, I want to go cook, or I want to go make some furniture, or I want to go make some clothes, or whatever it is. Do something else, or go train horses, go hunting, go farm for some cotton. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to, something else that you wanted to do. Absolutely switch it up a little bit. So for me, this is a definite, buy game. I think it's a good enough MMO to keep most people's interest for a period of time. I don't think it's going to be a game that lasts for me for years, but it's definitely going to be a game that holds my interest for a while because it's fun to interact with the people in the game, which is always the biggest selling point of any MMO, right, is the social aspect of the game. You want something that you can jump into, talk to friends, have some fun, have a few laughs, and fight some monsters and do some fun stuff. So to me, it's a definite game that you'd want to pick up because the group aspect and the guild aspect, like I talked about, is pretty good in this game. Is it the best I've ever seen? No, absolutely not. But it is good enough to, have fun playing, classes and trying to balance those classes in those groups. I wouldn't say it's as heavy on class balance as some other games. Like you don't have to have specific, classes in groups to be able to achieve, raid bosses and stuff like that. But you do need somewhat a class balance. It's kind of a in between. Like some games I've played in the past, it doesn't matter what classes you have, you just need 10 people. Some games you have to have the cleric and the paladin and the warrior and the assassin or whatever classes to be able to defeat, boss X or whatever. So it does steer away from that a little bit. I think for the most part, you can get away with a little bit of a mixture, which I like. I like a little bit more, not necessarily total structure in those group makeups, but kind of a broad, let me throw in 5 damagers and see if we can do this, boss or whatever. So hopefully this helped explain a little bit of what Black Desert Online is. Hopefully it explained a little bit of, kind of what you can expect from the game. I think most people out there are, that are looking for a new MMO to play would find this game fairly enjoyable. The market system is good. The guild system is good. Like I said, there's a lot of pros to this game, very few cons. I guess I would, leave off with the biggest con in this game probably is that it's a buy to play game. And that system that they went with, that they decided, that Dom Games decided on, I mean, that's absolutely their decision, I think keeps a few, people out that probably would pick up the game anyways if it was a free-to-play with just the cash shop. But since it's actually a buy-to-play and a cash shop game, I think that keeps a little bit of the population that we would have on the servers out of the game, unfortunately. But I think it's it's still okay if you have if you're looking for a new MMO. It's definitely right now to me on the top of the list, and there's not much else that I see on the horizon that's really going to be any fun in any particular point in time. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Please post in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this game or other MMOs that are coming up, because I'd like to hear, some other people's suggestions on maybe some new stuff that's coming out sometime soon. Even the MOBAs that are coming out, like Paragon and Battleborn and stuff like that. I've beta tested a couple of those, and I had a couple videos up. Those were okay. MOBAs, in general, I enjoy Smite, but if you have any other suggestions, go ahead and post those. Let's see what other people are going to be playing, and hopefully we can find something that everybody's enjoying, and hopefully you guys enjoy these videos. Thanks a lot. Have a good one, guys.